So the question is it time to look for a new job? And right now, we're in a position where the economy and just about everything that we're looking at seems to be on an upswing. But when we talk about looking for a new job, we're talking about changing, whether it's in an organization to a different position or moving from the organization you're in to another position. You can also be an opportunity seeker, not feeling that you have to move at this particular point in time, but you want to know what life might be like in other parts of your organization, or perhaps out of your organization in another organization. And lastly, there are some people who consider changing the sector that they work in. So if you're in business, would you like to consider government? Or if you're in government, would you like to consider nonprofit? So looking at the three sectors, the question becomes whether or not there might be more opportunity for you in a different sector. The economic outlook is healthy, and according to key economic indicators, with unemployment at 4.1% as I'm talking to you today, and a growth of 2 to 3% for the gross domestic product, those things look pretty good. The biggest growth in terms of jobs, about 5.7 million of them, is going to be in healthcare and other forms of social assistance as the American population ages. So if you're in that particular group, you have a step up. Second, the next largest increase of over 2 million jobs is in the professional and technical fields. And of course here we're talking about computer systems, design, management, scientific and technical consulting, workforce safety, and of course the environment. There are going to be substantial increases occurring in education as well, about 1.8 million jobs, and in retail about 1.7, and in hotels and restaurants. So those are additional fields where there are substantial increases in job growth. Also, although manufacturing is expected to lose jobs, the housing area is about to recover as well, and construction should add about 1.8 million jobs. So we're in a position where occupation growth seems to be fairly substantial, projected right through 2024. Give you some examples. Healthcare practitioners and technical areas of healthcare will grow about 16%. That's large growth. Computer and math occupations about 13%. Community and social service occupations about 11%. Education, training, and library about 8%. Business and financial operations about 8%. Management occupations will grow about 6%, and legal will grow about 5%. So what does this information say to you? Well, let us tell you at Life and Career Planning LLC what it says to us. First of all, it's a good time to consider a move, whether it's inside or outside of your organization. There's more job shifting going on and new opportunities that are opening up. So if you're not looking, you're not recognizing what's going on. Labor shortages are also likely to emerge, primarily because of specific career fields and having immigration impact those career fields with the restrictions that are being placed on immigrants coming into the country, especially those who have advanced degrees. You may have some questions. If you do, please send them to us at our LLC, Life and Career Planning website, and we'd be happy to respond to them. There's a real question here, though, that you have to respond to, even though you see all of this potential growth and the possibilities of moving, whether it's one sector, one company, or another. There are four really big things that an individual has to think about. The first is, what do you really have a passion for? I was speaking to a young woman just today who has a passion, in her case, in the field of the arts. Her husband is in the field of consulting and the business side. What she had to say was really interesting. She has a great passion for what she wants to do, but her husband really doesn't have a great passion for what he's doing. So can you state for yourself what it is that you have a passion for? Something that you really want to do, something that drives you, something that motivates you. I know in my own case, what I used to find over time was that different things became a passion for me as it related to work. You know, for a while I wanted to be in human resources, and I did. And then I wanted to be in sales, and I did. And then I wanted to be in public affairs, and I did. And then I wanted to run businesses, and I did. So if for me and for other people, these kinds of things might change, but it's all right if it doesn't. If you have a passion for one particular career field, then go after it. The second thing is, in addition to being able to write down what you feel your passion is, the second is to recognize what drives you in terms of your behavior. And values are the things that drive you. They only show up in your behavior. So what are those values? What are the things in your life that are important to you? I know in my own case, my values seem to have changed over time. When I was younger, in my 30s and in my 40s, my values were very family centered and career centered. I wanted better jobs, more money. I wanted to make sure that my children could go to college, et cetera, et cetera. As I grew older, my values became values that a person who had self-actualized would have. Those are things like having more time with my wife, traveling around the world, helping other people, consulting in the field as I do, where I'm guiding individuals who are executives and managers all of the time. So my values have changed, but some stayed the same. Integrity, wanting to do the right thing, doing the kinds of things that for me were really important, and holding on to those particular values. Even today, my own mission my personal mission calls for me to be in a position where I help individuals and organizations to become what they seek to become, while also helping them to discern their key potential so that they might strive for that as well. So these are things that you have to be able to consider to understand that you wouldn't give those values up right now, no matter what. The third thing is your purpose in life. What's your mission? Why are you here? I know that if I asked you to write a statement, probably 70% of you have never written a statement down that indicates what it is that you feel your purpose in life is. So think about that one. What's your mission? Why are you here? What's your purpose in life? And lastly, vision. If you understand your passion and you understand your values, the things in your behavior that are important, and you understand what your purpose is in life, then you can create for yourself a longer term vision, 3 to 5 years perhaps. One way to do that is to think about the fact that your job is on a road taking you to a distant point, and if you could describe that distant point in as much detail as possible, that would create your vision. So what's the vision? Where are you geographically? What kind of work will you have in 3 to 5 years? What part of your career will have been behind you and in front of you? How much compensation will you be making? What kind of relationships would you have, et cetera, et cetera. So the more that you can put into the detail of the vision, the better off you are. So those 4 things, before you even start looking for a job: what's your passion, what are your values, what's your purpose, and what's your vision. And lastly, in thinking about this, you have to ask that question, what do I want? And in order to do that, what I've recommended to people is that think about your perfect job, your next perfect job. If you could write a job description that encompasses your passion, your values, your purpose, your vision, and the kind of job you want, where it would be, what kind of work it would be, kind of people you would work with and for, et cetera, that job description would describe what do I want. Secondly, if you're in a position where you want to be able to look, the question then becomes, where can I find it? Can I meet my needs inside the organization I currently work for, whatever it is, company, government, nonprofit? If I can't, is it something that I have to do outside of the company? What about the sector I'm in? If I'm in pharmaceuticals, is this where I want to stay? If I'm in the arts, is that where I want to be? If I'm in financial services, should I stay there, etc.? You might also look out of the sector. So that would mean that you'd have to explore and do some research on the kind of work you want to do and whether or not it exists in areas outside of your current sector. So if you're in business, you'd be looking at nonprofits and government and vice versa. And of course, there's also the opportunity today, because of globalism, to really think about looking outside of the country, especially if you're well educated and you have transferable skills. One of the things that you might want to consider is, do I want to live abroad for a few years? And should I do some research about essentially going abroad and doing some work there for an organization? Next, you have to consider not only what you want and where you can find it, but you have to consider then, how do I find it? And this is something that requires a lot of preparation, research, disciplined research, talking to people, getting information. For example, if you wanted to go into the nonprofit field, you'd want to talk to some people in the nonprofit field. You'd want to get online and start looking at nonprofit organizations because they're immensely diverse. You also want to look at what the compensation levels look like, which you can get online for a nonprofit area. If you want to move from one sector to another, pharmaceuticals to the financial sector, what kinds of positions might match your skill set in a financial sector, even though you're working in a pharmaceutical company. So preparation, purposeful research, and then thirdly, a marketing plan for yourself. The marketing plan includes a number of things. Getting your resume up to date, making sure that you're in a position where you're activating your network, listing all of the people that you have contacts with, making sure that you're spending most of your time either on the phone or in front of people explaining what it is that you're trying to do, and of course making the time commitment to be able to do it even if you're working. So these important things: preparation, purposeful and disciplined research, marketing yourself, having a network of people that you've recorded and documented who you're going to be seeing, and the time commitment that's necessary for you to be able to move ahead.